Hello, and welcome to another episode of Jazzy's Mixtape. This is not your typical episode, though. This episode is part of the Soul Searching series. I'm Jazzy, and I want to tell you that I'm not a therapist. I'm not a healthcare professional. I'm just a 20-something creative human living through a fucking pandemic and struggling to keep my head up. I'm embarking on a soul-searching journey, and I want to share it with you because I have a feeling that I'm not the only one who feels broken right now and is looking for their pieces. I think this is something we can do together, so let's get started. Hello. All right, I know this is weird and different and not something that I would normally do on the podcast, but this is something that I'm taking very seriously in my life right now, and I figured what better place to document my journey through this than through my podcast. So this series is, as you've probably already figured out, is called the Soul Searching series. It's going to be about four or five episodes. I haven't fully figured that out yet because I am living through it right now. So today I just plan to tell you why I'm soul searching, why people in general tend to start soul searching journeys, and just a little bit of a sneak peek of how I plan to connect with my soul during this time. But each week I'll go into a specific topic or thing that I'm doing to further get myself to the goal of reconnecting with my soul. And then the final episode will be a recap of everything. So by then I will have lived through it all and had full documentation of everything. So I hope that you enjoy this. I hope that you stick with me. And if you are feeling the same way or similarly to how I am feeling right now, and you want to embark on a soul journey, I am right beside you. I am there with you. I want to do this together. So I started a hashtag on Instagram. It's just hashtag the soul searching series. So feel free to tag your posts and share the different things that you're doing to reconnect with your soul. And hopefully we can all connect with each other. This is a absolutely bonkers time to be alive. Am I right? It's insane. And I don't think that it is uncommon for someone who is experiencing some sort of trauma to feel disconnected from their soul and their spirit. It's been a very interesting 2 months for me. And you might have seen, if you already follow me on Instagram, you might have seen me posting some things. I have talked about some things on the podcast already, just difficult things that I've been going through. And I know we're all going through difficult things, but I'm just gonna be as candid as I can, while still respecting other people's boundaries, and being true to myself and honest. So, what is a soul searching journey? What does it mean to soul search? I have looked up this question several times in my life, but a lot recently. To soul search means a deep and anxious consideration of one's emotions and motives, or of the correctness of a course of action. That's so specific, and those are the words that I could never actually produce myself when I thought about, like, if someone were to ask me, well, Jazzy, what does it mean to soul search? I'm like, oh, I don't know. It means to find yourself. I don't know. But yeah, that's exactly it. That's going inward, considering your emotions, and then taking it one step further and considering your motives. Why do you feel these ways? Why why one, why do you feel these emotions? Two, how do you know what these emotions are? What do these emotions feel like to you? Anger to you might feel different than it does to me. And, I'm using anger as an example because anger is not an emotion that I am very familiar with. And as of late, I have been very angry. And I just could not pinpoint what this was. I felt so out of character and so just like, what the fuck? Turns out that was anger. So, yeah, that's all just part of the journey. Your soul is your character, and searching for that is reaccessing your authenticity and your bravery and your higher purpose for your life. So that brings me to my next question. Why do people soul search? Obviously, everyone has their own personal reasons, but I think there are definitely a few very common reasons. And one of those reasons is feeling stuck in the capitalist cycle of waking up every day to do a job for someone else, to pay you, to pay someone else for you to live. So, no matter where you are in your life or what kind of career you may have, you could be a freelance artist, a teacher, an entrepreneur, a world leader. We all are stuck in this cycle. And if you don't have any kind of purpose outside of that, any kind of reasoning for living your life outside of that, you're gonna start to ask yourself, what's the fucking point? And that's a heavy question. I'm going on this journey to find that purpose. And I have an idea what it is, but I want to be sure. I'm sure the pandemic specifically has sparked a lot of people seeking to reconnect with their souls. The pandemic is just such a strange thing to talk about because it's one of the few things that literally we're all going through. So anyone that you talk to will probably have something to say about it. But it's just so strange. So let's get into my personal reasons and goals and a little bit of my experience so far with the journey. I started showing the tell signs of needing to start a soul searching journey around the end of March, early April. So that was just a few weeks into quarantine. I, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm not quarantined. I am an essential worker, so I do work through the week. So there's that. That's another take for you. But when I'm not working, I'm quarantined. I stay in my house. I don't see anyone. I'm I'm doing what I can to stay safe and keep everyone else safe. So it had just been a few weeks, really, when I started noticing things that I didn't notice before. And I started wondering if I was just oblivious to those things or if I was subconsciously ignoring them. But at that time, it didn't really matter because I couldn't ignore them anymore. They were bothering me so much. I'm talking about habits within myself, but also habits within other people around me. I just felt like I had been so blind and just, like I said before, oblivious to these things that now were right in front of me. And this is a very typical sign of awakening. Another sign of awakening is impulsivity or impulsiveness. I'm not sure what the correct grammatical word is, but I think you know what I mean. I'm not, surprisingly, not a stranger or unfamiliar with being impulsive, but looking at the pattern of my life, I tend to be impulsive when I'm feeling stuck and I'm desperate for the situation to change, no matter how drastic my measures of making that change may be. It always tends to work out in the end, but for someone who's very strategic and organized, and the impulsive side of me is always very surprising when it comes out. Right now, thinking about that pattern makes a lot of sense. I think we're all desperate for a change right now. We all want this pandemic to be over, but for me also, so many of the struggles of the pandemic have been mirrored in my personal relationship, specifically my romantic relationship. And I have been far too expressive of certain details of my relationship. And if you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen certain posts that I made that were really painting me out to be the victim and my partner as the bad guy, but actually we're both just really struggling and having a hard time staying connected and understanding each other. And I was impulsive and I put them on blast for something, which is just way out of character for me and totally immature. I put them on blast on an Instagram post about some comments that they made specifically about my podcast content. And I did that obviously without thinking, because when you're being impulsive, you're not really thinking. But what I didn't share with everyone was why they said those things. And it just all goes back to the same pattern that I'm just stuck in. In another heated moment a few weeks earlier than this moment, I was again impulsive. I was angry, and I said that our relationship was dead. And so obviously that was very hurtful and difficult for them to hear. And I apologized, and we've taken the time that we needed to get past it. But it was hurting them to see me sharing things about light and love and good vibes online when in real life, I was basically trashing the value of our relationship. So, yeah, impulsivity is very immature, and I don't like that about myself. So, I'm working to fix that. If by any chance you are here to get all the tea on my relationship, drink it up right now, because this is the last time that I'll be talking about it. But I just wanted to clear the air and be honest and open about that, because I did put it out online. I should not have done that. I will not be doing that anymore. But yeah. The next thing that was a sign for me was my mindset was shifting very quickly, very abruptly, and things that were once very important to me had now become meaningless. I had absolutely no tolerance for negativity, and I still don't. Like, if you want to come at me with some bullshit, I'm not fucking interested. And that kind of energy has caused a lot of tension in some of my relationships. I live at home with my family. I live with my grandmother, my mother, and my brother. Myself, my brother, and my mom are all essential workers. Go fucking figure. We're all essential workers. So, yeah, there's that. I've just found, everybody is going through their shit. My mom specifically is having a difficult time with her boss. And I know that it sucks. And I want to be there for her and listen to her vent. But I can't right now. And I literally find myself like rolling my eyes as soon as she starts talking, or just like wanting to run out of the room, because I just don't want to hear about her complaining about her job. I'm just like, there are people that don't have jobs right now. There are people who can't even get unemployment right now. And I have no tolerance for it. And this kind of anger and impulsivity that I'm experiencing right now is super uncharacteristic of me. Like, I don't feel at all like myself, and I feel awful for thinking these things and saying these things. But it's my truth. It's how I feel, and I know that it's off. Another example that I won't get into too much detail with, but I came very close to completely cutting out an extremely important person in my life just out of sheer anger. I had stopped thinking. I was just angry. I was just saying things. And after that moment, I really had to sit down and just be with myself and think, like, why am I so desperate to be rid of this energy that I'm willing to lose someone I love or something that usually brings me so much joy? Why do I feel so misunderstood? And furthermore, why am I having such a hard time understanding other people? Why do I feel like I hardly know the people in my life anymore, and they hardly know me? I don't know if any of that made sense. I might talk about it more. I'm recording this on May 12th. I am about 2 or 3 days into my soul searching journey. So I might record a little bit later and hop back in here and tell you how I'm feeling. Maybe if I get some more clarity and I can explain it better. But for right now, That's my reasons and my goals. And just quickly before we wrap this episode up, I want to tell you what my plans are, and the things that I will be doing to reconnect with my soul. These are in no particular order, but the first thing that I'll mention is astrology, specifically my full astrological chart, and getting to know myself. And by delving into astrology, my goal in this is to be mindful of how I react to certain things and situations based on maybe like past trauma, current trauma, just different things that have affected me in the past and how I'm holding on to them, and giving myself the opportunity to let go of them. I think astrology is really great. It's so much more than just your sun sign, which is why I'm going to be delving into my full chart. But when we get into that episode, I'm also going to be talking about patterns and other different things in astrology. So if you're into that, look forward to the next episode. The next step that I'll be taking is to meditate and do yoga. I was always into yoga, newly into meditation, but both of those things were things that I wanted to become habits that just never really did. I always fell off and tried to get back on and fell off again. So I just want to be persistent with both of these. My goal from yoga and meditation is to practice stillness and quietness. I I love music, you guys know this. And as important as it is to me, and as nourishing as it is to my soul, I definitely have a horrible habit of drowning my thoughts with music and background noise. Like, it's bad. So, my goal in doing yoga and meditation every day is to be aware of those thoughts and allow them to be heard. That should be interesting because I have a love-hate relationship with yoga and anything fitness related, so we're going to get into that. And I have a new technique for meditation that I'd like to try, so we'll be talking about that too. And lastly, but certainly not least, I want to journal and pay more attention to my mental health. Specifically, I don't want to talk about it just yet because I haven't been able to fully, like see a doctor and be diagnosed of anything. But that's part of my goal, is to just educate myself on that a little bit better, and see if there's a way that I can be tested for it. I feel bad like teasing you guys and not saying what it is, but I don't want to offend anybody and be like, I might have this thing, and then it turns out that I don't. But journaling, I want to journal daily and I want to track my moods. If you are a bullet journaler, then I'm sure you've seen the mood trackers in the bullet journals. I love them. And I haven't bullet journaled since like 2017. Ugh, so bad. I should really get into it. I love bullet journaling. But yeah, I just want to get in the habit of letting all of my emotions out on paper and leaving them there, and keeping a consistent track of my moods and seeing where where certain moods form patterns, or if they do at all, or if they're completely sporadic and wild and crazy. I also, of course, want to keep music involved somehow with this series, but I'm not really sure how to go about that. And I'll be talking about that with the episode about yoga and meditation, because I am practicing sitting in silence more. So obviously I'm not listening to as much music as I used to, but send me your ideas if you have any thoughts of how we can keep incorporating music into the episodes. The theme for the series is definitely like 100% Monopoly by Ariana Grande, because the lyrics are just absolutely so spot on. It is everything I want to say to people after this pandemic is over, basically. When they're like, so, how have you been? How did you survive? I would be like, I've been on a roll. Where you been? Like, real protective of my soul. Bitch, where you been? Like, I'm ready for that moment. So, definitely, as you're on your soul journey, have a listen to that song with me. All right, friends. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you for riding along with this journey. It is going to be very interesting. I am admittedly quite scared because I've already felt a lot of negativity going into this. Oh my God. I don't want to be I don't want to cry on a fucking podcast right now. But I've already felt a lot of negativity, and I'm only recording the first episode right now. And as much as that sucks, I know that that means that I'm moving in the right direction. So I'm going to keep doing this, and I hope that you stick with me. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Jazzy's Mixtape. If you're on your own soul journey and want to share some things that you've discovered, make sure to use the hashtag the Soul Searching Series. We are in this together, and I'd love to see what's going on with you and your journeys. So that's all for now, friends. Wishing you light and love, good vibes, and good tunes. See you next time.